today our fun task is going to be to replace my 2007 Infiniti G35's power steering pump with this one. Yeah. So the first thing we're gonna do is kind of get a nice little setup going on. Make sure you have enough light so you can see. I took my little coolant reservoir and put it over to the side because this area right here is where we are going to be doing most of the work. The next thing we're going to do is move this power steering fluid reservoir to the side as well. So to get that off, there's a little metal piece on the back that you need to pry out of there somehow. Go up from like the side. There you go. Alright, now get that to the side so we have the room to get there. The next thing we're going to go for is this bolt right there. It's a 23 millimeter, so we have to loosen that up. Might need a breaker bar. The next thing to loosen up is that right there. It's a 12 millimeter. Next thing we're going for down here is to loosen up the belt. So let me give you some context of where we are. You going down here. There. Alright, now that that is loose right there, now that we have that loose from the underside, there is another bolt that we have to loosen to get the belt loose here so that we can replace the pump there. So let's get the jack and get her up. So now we're trying to take this skid plate off from underneath here so we can actually get to where we're trying to get to. So there's just a few bolts to get off to get this big old piece of plastic off. Alright, now we have to get off that tensioner right there. Loosens the belt. So you may need a larger bar and an extender. And now with that loose, it now has significant more play, and we should be able to get that pump out fairly soon-ish. With that loosened, we have the belt free to be able to take off and take off the pump, power steering pump that we're trying to get out. So the next thing we have to get loose is that clamp right there that goes on to the pump. So have to, I can't do this on the camera. Listening here. Is there a bolt that you can get through from between the spokes of the wheel? Just right there as we look at it on the one that's going in. So he is between there with a large bar trying to heave that out. With that broken from the big bar, go to just socket wrench here. Trying to get, which is, I'm pretty sure, a very long bolt out here. Which the length, actually, I've seen is going to be a problem if it can even fit there. That bolt, when it's coming out, it is actually too long to fit to actually get out. So you're going to need to try to move something in its way. Alright, so back with that bolt not able to get out, what you need to do next is what we were saying in the beginning. We do need to get this hose off, and then we need to take that off. One, because it makes it easier to get to the pump, and two, because we do need to be able to get the fan off in order to get this bolt actually to be able to fit out and back into the new one. Clamp on these. Then hold up a sec. We're gonna take this off and shove our wad of paper towels in it to try to avoid it getting absolutely everywhere. With that hose off, we had the paper towels in there. We just kind of put a regular towel in there because it does want to come out of both ends quite heavily once you take that out. So now we have to try to get the fan off here. Alright, so then we need to get this piece off here, which is the fan. So to do that, we're probably going to have to take the air box off. Some sort of sensor. We have to get the sensor here off the air box and a few bolts on there to loosen that up and make my brother cry.
Huh, that's what it was. That's underneath it. Ooh, I'm gonna trash your air filter now. I need a new one anyway.
Now we have a little bit more room to be able to get this whole piece out. That fan loose, we were able to wiggle this long ass bolt out of the power steering pump
and out of the way.
Actually, get this out requires quite a bit of love, per se. Get a breaker bar and kind of shove it around and wiggle the thing. Do whatever you can to get it loose, because at this point we have all of the connections loose. It just needs to actually come out, and it's kind of tight in there. There we go. And that is a power steering pump. Cool. So what was happening with mine is somewhere in here things were starting to break apart. So the pieces from inside the metal was actually circulating through the system. And yeah, so that's a bad thing. Here's our potential new one, and let's try to get it in. All right, here's the second part of this. Try to get the new one to fit in here. Knowing that the old one was difficult to get out, probably won't be easy to fit the new one in either. Right, so that long bolt actually goes in from that one all the way over to, the light isn't really showing it, but there it is, all the way over the next one, and it has to go through the pump from there through the whole thing and then into there. So that is a difficult part, because that has to then fit very evenly in that space right there, and there's just not a whole lot of room, so it's kind of a difficult mission. But we're up for it, right?
Yay.
I love Infiniti.
Infinite douches.
Rip me! Alright, so getting your new pump in. I've seen some other videos online of like a 350 trying to do this, and they really glance over the putting it back part. They just say, oh yeah, that was cool, now just do what you just did in reverse. Yeah, it's not that easy. It was extremely difficult to fit the new one in just because of its tight place. And you have to use a breaker bar or something to get it out, so why would it be easy to get it back in? It's not. It's taken a while to get the bolt that's inside. It's probably been an hour since the last clip of just us trying to get this fit in somehow. Then we still have another bracket that we need to make sure lines up. But we'll get that here in a sec. Let me see. We need to get that one lined up together. Now that that is in and through. Alright, once we finally got that in there, it took a little bit of encouraging, had to make the hole a little bit bigger. But nevertheless, it is in. We're working on getting the air box back in, And we'll have to reconnect these lines here. I already put that one back on. I just need to tighten it up. Need to put that on, tighten that, reconnect this back into there. Put the braces, putting their air filter back together and back in.
Maybe.
And that. And put the belt back on. And that could possibly be it. At the end of this process, after you have everything back connected, you might want to flush your power steering fluid in case there is any problems with that. To do that, just simply loosen that clamp right there that we worked with before, and use a turkey baster to get all that you can out of the reservoir. And then after that, have a partner or a good old friend either rotate the steering wheel or just manhandle the tire and wheel like so until it all comes out and you're getting no more dripping, and then put back in new power steering fluid. The best and cheapest place I found is to get Walmart, and you want to use this Prestone Asian power steering. If you use just the general power steering stuff that you find at most AutoZones or something like that, it'll be the GM stuff, which is not good for these cars. And that was that of changing the power steering pump on an Infiniti G35. Mine's a 2007, but I'm pretty sure they're all going to be just about the same. It's not an easy job. I'm just going to say that. It takes some work, and you probably need a good amount of time to do it, and you need to know what you're doing with tools and have said tools. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I hope it was informative. If it was, please hit that thumbs up button. If you have any questions or anything to say, put it in the comments section below. I'm Seanbeingsean, just being me, just be you. Catch you on the flip.
People, even though like crappy things might happen, it's still your ability to. You still have the ability to have a good attitude about it. You don't have to give a heck. Exactly, you don't have to give a heck. You just have a good attitude all the time, and